It all started with the best intentions. After a year full of stress, a difficult job transition, and constant work on the house, I decided it was time to treat myself to something special for my birthday. Instead of the usual low-key dinner, I envisioned a warm, intimate gathering in my backyard with family and friends. A simple barbecue, soft music in the background, and an evening filled with laughter and good food. I spent weeks preparing for the event. I cleaned up the yard, hung string lights across the patio, and set up a little fire pit for the kids to roast marshmallows. The playlist was carefully curated. Nothing too loud or invasive, just mellow tunes that would enhance the evening's vibe. The day of the party, I woke up feeling excited. It was perfect weather, crisp breeze, the sun shining brightly. My best friend Alex arrived early to help me set everything up. Together, we arranged the food and drinks, laughing and chatting as we worked. "Do you think Karen will crash your party?" Alex asked, raising an eyebrow as he straightened a string of fairy lights. I rolled my eyes. "She's got no reason to. Everything's within the rules." Alex smirked. "Since when has she needed a reason?" I laughed it off, convinced she wouldn't care. I had carefully checked the HOA guidelines to ensure everything was fine. Quiet hours started at 8 p.m., and we weren't even close to that time. I wasn't doing anything wrong. The first guests began arriving around 6 p.m. Family, a few close friends, and the kids. They immediately ran toward the swing set and the makeshift games I had set up, their high-pitched voices filling the air with excitement. The adults gravitated toward the barbecue, chatting and passing around plates of food, while I kept an eye on the time. By 7 p.m., the party was in full swing. The kids were running around with bubbles. The adults were laughing, and the grill was going strong, filling the air with the smell of burgers and sausages. The soft background music blended seamlessly with the sounds of the evening. It felt like the perfect birthday celebration. Nothing too extravagant, just a nice gathering with the people I cared about most. But then, just after 7:30, I noticed Karen walking by my house. Her eyes darted to the cars parked along the driveway. She had that look, the one she always wore when she was about to complain about something. I didn't think much of it at first. She lived 3 houses down, and it wasn't unusual for her to take her dog on a walk. Still, something about the way she paused at the edge of the driveway made me uneasy. A few minutes later, just as the conversation around the fire pit started to pick up, I heard the side gate creak open. I turned to see Karen standing at the edge of the yard, her posture rigid, arms crossed, and a scowl on her face. She didn't knock or give any warning. She just walked right in. "Excuse me," Karen said, her voice cutting through the warmth of the evening like a knife. The guests fell silent and turned to look at her. I stepped forward, trying to maintain my composure. "Hi, Karen. It's my birthday. We're just having a little get-together," I said, offering her a smile. "Is there a problem?" Her eyes narrowed, and she looked around the yard like it was a crime scene. "This is a disruption," she spat, her words dripping with disdain. "I can hear your music from my house. You're disturbing the peace of the entire neighborhood." I blinked, momentarily taken aback. I glanced at my guests, who were all watching this strange interaction unfold. I knew the music wasn't loud, nothing out of the ordinary for a small party. "Karen, the music isn't that loud, and it's not even 8 p.m. yet. Quiet hours don't start until then," I said, trying to stay calm. "That doesn't matter," she snapped, stepping forward. "I have my own standards for noise in this neighborhood, and this is unacceptable. I'm telling you now, this needs to stop immediately. Shut it down." I felt a surge of irritation. "Karen, I'm following the rules. It's just a birthday party. We're keeping it respectful, and we'll be wrapping up soon. I don't see the issue here." She crossed her arms, glaring at me. "You think this is okay? You're going to have a party in the middle of the evening, disturbing everyone around you, and you think I'm just going to ignore it?" I could feel my patience wearing thin. "Karen, unless you can point to an actual violation, I don't think you have any grounds to make demands. You're welcome to call the police or the HOA, but I'm confident that what I'm doing is well within the rules." Her face turned bright red, and she took a deep breath. "You're not getting away with this. I'm going to issue a formal complaint, and if you don't shut this down, I'll be reporting it." I stood my ground, staring at her, but I could feel my heart racing. The atmosphere of the party had completely shifted. The guests had stopped talking, and the laughter had died down. All eyes were now on Karen, waiting for me to respond. "Karen, if you don't mind, you're trespassing. If you don't have a valid complaint, I think you should leave my property," I said, my voice firm but controlled. She glared at me one last time, then huffed and stormed off, muttering under her breath about disrespectful neighbors. My guests started whispering among themselves, a few chuckling nervously, unsure of how to react. "Is she always like that?" one of my cousins asked, wide-eyed from the confrontation. "Unfortunately, yeah," I said, shaking my head. She's the HOA president, and she's convinced she has to enforce every rule in the book, even when it's not necessary. As the evening went on, the party slowly found its rhythm again. The kids resumed their play, and the adults, though shaken by the encounter, resumed chatting and enjoying themselves. I didn't want Karen to ruin the night, so I pushed her out of my mind and focused on having a good time. The next morning, I went out to get the mail and found a letter from Karen in my mailbox. I opened it, already dreading what I was about to read. It was a formal complaint, accusing me of violating HOA rules with excessive noise and claiming that my party was disrupting the peace of the community. She had even attached a printed copy of the HOA guidelines, highlighting the noise ordinances and making it clear that she intended to escalate the issue. I stared at the letter, incredulous. The music had been soft and well within the acceptable noise levels for a residential neighborhood. I knew she was just trying to control something that wasn't hers to control. I decided to take the high road and forwarded her letter to the HOA board with an email explaining the situation. I was calm, factual, and polite. I attached a copy of the guidelines I had followed and requested that they review the complaint. To my relief, I received an email back from the HOA board the next day. They informed me that no action would be taken against me, as I had clearly adhered to the guidelines and there were no legitimate violations. The board assured me they wouldn't be addressing Karen's complaint, and that was the end of it. Weeks passed, and Karen's attempts to escalate the situation went nowhere. At the next community meeting, she tried to gather support from other residents, but most people were either indifferent or supportive of my side. Several neighbors spoke out against her, sharing their own frustrations with her overbearing attitude. By the end of the meeting, Karen's credibility in the neighborhood had taken a serious hit. While she still walked around with that air of superiority, it was clear her power was waning. As for me, I'd learned a valuable lesson that day. Never let someone's petty power trips get in the way of your happiness. The next birthday came around, and I decided to go even bigger. This time with the whole neighborhood BBQ. Karen's glare when she saw the crowd was priceless. But the best part? No one cared what she thought anymore. The neighborhood had finally come together against her antics. And me? Well, I've got plans for next year. Maybe a dance party or karaoke night. Something that'll really shake her up.